Good morning, entrepreneurs. You're tuned in to the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. You are watching Entreprenews. My name's Chaz Vandemeyer.
I'm Dustin Trout.
There you go. And we are here to keep you woke this morning. We're going to tell you about the top 6 trending small business stories. We'll debate them. We'll give our take for 3 minutes each per story, not per person, just 3 minutes each to duke it out. And we'll see where the dust settles. Normally Dustin ends up walking out of here crying, and I mop his tears up because I just give better arguments. But Dustin, anything you want to add to my glorious intro?
All dreams, buddy. No, but do appreciate you guys tuning in. I mean, wherever you guys consume content, we are there. Whether it's YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, wherever you're consuming content, just search for Entreprenews and you'll find us.
And it is not free to listen. I'm sorry. You got to tell an entrepreneur about us. You got to tell a business owner about us. That is your toll for staying woke this morning. Without further ado, I think we're about ready to dive right in there, Dustin.
Let's dive right in, buddy.
Okay. Getting into our first story, sports leagues. So professional sports leagues, NBA, NHL, NFL are betting on augmented reality as virtual courtside seats can't match the real thing. Leagues including the NBA, the MLB continue to upgrade virtual reality offerings, but augmented reality could make money sooner. You know, this is a hot topic of debate right now. Dustin, should businesses be investing in AR over VR?
I think, yeah. I mean, in terms of getting consumers to adopt, I think there's less friction. I mean, you can do much more AR even on your phone. I mean, Pokemon Go was a huge first app to really explode the AR scene when it comes to the phones. But I mean, when it comes to virtual reality, you got to either wear glasses or goggles, contacts, whatever it may be, which most people don't want to do. So I think, in terms of who should be investing, though, I think, it's just like everything else. It is a tool that can be used, and I think it'll help with the overall business experience or buyer experience. And as long as there's something to be, learned or educated, I think it's a good tool. But it's not for everyone. But I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think more should be investing into VR? Or?
I mean, VR is a way cooler experience. It's differentiated, right? Like I can actually go to the arena without being there and watch the game just like I was there. I mean, I don't think, obviously we're not quite there. And so that's kind of put a little damper on, what these professional sports teams can offer. But, AR to me is just kind of a novelty. I mean, right? Like it's like a Snapchat filter on my phone. I mean, looking at like what the MLB is talking about doing, it would show you like where the batter hit the ball in their last 3 at bats. So I can look at that on my ESPN app. So it's like, I don't understand how this is going to monetize things. I mean, like I said, it's more of a novelty where I'm not necessarily going to pay for something like this. It'd just be a nice to have if I care about using AR.
Yeah, I don't know about the sports arena, but I mean, like IKEA, they're using it to where if you're interested in a product, you could literally look in your room or whatever it may be and place that product there and see what it would look like. I mean, that's enhancing the overall customer experience, and that's where you're gonna get more people after they do that to actually buy it. Then I wonder how it's gonna look, and so. That I think there's a good application there, but to your point, I think sports it's a little different. I think the VR world is definitely where you should be investing. But again, you go deeper into these AR, VR, and all these shiny new objects, and it's like you don't want to invest into everything. I think you need to take a step back and what is your ideal customer journey and what's
going to enhance the experience?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if they have like AR glasses, like I can wear like sunglasses and then it tells me the score of the game and the pitch count and the top corners, like, yeah, that'd be great. It's an embedded experience, but me pulling my phone out and holding it in front of the batter so I can see something, like it takes away from the experience more than it adds to it. So I'm definitely not paying for that. But
yep, no, I can agree. So going on to our next story. So LinkDrop lets entrepreneurs sell digital assets without taking a commission. So parent company CashDrop is a company that really what they do is allow small businesses to take payment, and they don't charge a fee. So sending invoices, you can have someone pay. They don't have to pay a fee. Same here. It's kind of like Fiverr, Upwork. It's a marketplace where entrepreneurs can go and sell their digital assets, whether it be videos, photography, or their digital services, they can exchange. Someone can buy them, they get paid, and exchange services, and they're not charged anything. Their goal is to reduce fees for small businesses amid the pandemic. Really, they make their money through advertising and selling data. They have a marketplace full of small businesses and freelancers or small business owners that are trying to exchange goods and services. So what better way to target that ideal audience? And so that's how kind of they're making their money. But I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, there's a growing trend of marketplaces. Is this the way of the future? And with this, knowing that you can transact online without even having to build a website, I mean, what does this do to the website development folks?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm all for, let's take back some of the power from the App Store, taking 15 to 30%, and Amazon taking their commission 10 to 30%. So I'm all for giving that power back to the business owner. We just have to be mindful that to create a sustainable marketplace, it takes a very large critical mass of actual trading in a dual-sided marketplace. A lot of network effects. Like this is something where you almost have to be putting through like $1 million in transactions a day to make this something that's actually profitable. And so I think that cash drop or link drop is going to be the thing that topples Apple and Google over? No, I don't. But I do think that this is a cool trend. I also don't think it's necessarily going to replace your website, but I look at this as like, there's a lot of touchpads that can take you back to your website, right? You got social media that'll take people back to your website. You got your SEO power, obviously, and blogs that'll take people back to your website. So I think this is just another way, just like YouTube or Amazon, to get your product somewhere and give people a touchpad back to your website. So that's kind of how I look at this being valuable.
Yeah, I think this is perfect for small business, solo entrepreneurs and whatnot, to where it's you might not have the funds to make a website or figure out how to do it yourself, but this is a way to get your services out there and transact. But I mean, I don't think the website development people are going anywhere. I mean, there's so much value in having your website with analytics and being able to retarget and all that.
There's a lot of no-code stuff, though, Dustin. I think that's the one big inflection point that we're reaching is now these no-code, like kind of self-builder tools are making it so that people that are website developers don't have to actually code something. They can drag and drop and make something just as robust, just as impressive. So I think that's kind of where there's going to be more of an abundance of skilled workforce here because you don't have to code to do it.
Yep. It'll be interesting. So going into our next story, so vending machines powered by 5G are retail's next growth sector. The future of retail is secure, cashless, personalized, media-rich, and extremely personalized buying experiences. At least that's what Vengo is trying to do. With 5G, they're saying that this can allow for rich media experiences where you can have more informational videos, you can have customer reviews all in video form, can have it super engaging just right there through the vending machine. This has been tried before, but with 5G and COVID, could lead to higher demand. And really the biggest thing they're touting with the 5G is that you can actually have customer support come on via video because the connection is that much stronger and just help answer questions or whatever it may be. The biggest thing is this isn't really going to replace retail, but more so it allows you to place products where people would actually use them. For example, if you sell umbrellas, you could have an umbrella vending machine in the middle of the park. When I'm in Walmart or whatever it may be, I might not think to buy it, but when I'm in the middle of the park and I need it, boom, there's a vending machine and I can actually buy it. And so really it's it's a super small industry now worth about 25 billion, but it is rapidly growing. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts? We're seeing Amazon lockers, Redbox had its heyday. I mean, is this the future of retail, or is this a good, supplement to retail?
Yeah,
vending machines everywhere, baby.
Yeah, to me, it kind of feels like a step back in innovation, to be honest with you. I don't really think that going back to vending machines when we can now, we're borderline having drones drop our stuff off at our front door. I feel like this is kind of a step back, but you do bring up a couple of viable use cases that, you saw Redbox really, have its heyday for a few years. And I think that there's an opportunity to make some money here over the next couple of years. I think whether it be, the umbrellas in the park or, those things that you're like, oh, if only I had blank, it would optimize my experience at blank. right?
Yeah.
And so if you can find a matching winning product, whether it's like renting paddle boards next to the water, whatever it is, like I think that you can kind of eliminate some of the overhead of having actual humans in a brick and mortar store as opposed to just having this vending machine. So, I mean, I see there being opportunities, but do I think that this is the future? No, I think that having somebody drop it off like via drone to your house is probably the future.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but there is also the alternative to where, I mean, what are we going to have? Thousands of drones just flying overhead. And
That's
I mean,
a scary day too. Yeah, like locust swarm noises happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, this trend has picked up in Japan. I think there's quite a few of these over in Japan, but, you bring up a good point to where it's, how much is real estate? Maybe not as we move forward and real estate comes crashing down a little bit, but it could help with overhead. It could help with profitability. We'll just wonder, how big of a trend it actually is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, before we get into our next story, I want to mention that we are powered by State 48. State48.com. They're an amazing business. Really just do a lot for the community. And they have some pretty cool clothing to help raise awareness. But Dust, anything you want to mention about State 48?
Yeah, one thing you won't see from them is clothing vending machines around the city. So, but they do have 2 locations, one downtown, one in Chandler. And yeah, they just do a ton for the community, make it look good. They're helping small business, and they partner with a lot of nonprofits. So
you feel like you're getting a massage while wearing the shirt. It's like, yeah, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Exactly. So check them out, state48.com. So going into our next story, so Salvation Army seeks volunteers to be bell ringers. The Salvation Army is looking for bell ringers to help rescue Christmas, they're saying, especially here in Arizona. There is a lack of volunteers and a lot of people that are in need. And the Salvation Army has implemented protocols to protect the health and safety of all of its bell ringers, including PPE, sanitizing products, and social distancing, and a bit more. Where this comes into play is that the Salvation Army could see a reduction of 50% in their overall funds due to retail shops closing down and not having enough locations, volunteers, and even the coin shortage that we reported on a couple months ago.
Yep.
All of that while the need for funds is going to increase 155%. They say by volunteering, it only takes an hour to volunteer to really feed 13 people. And over 300,000 different Arizona families are in need come this holiday season. So, I mean, with the coin shortage, with Salvation Army, I mean, those aren't the cleanest buckets, I would say. And so, I mean, with everything going on, are we going to see the end of really helping families during a time of need like this?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that, the Salvation Army bell ringers, they get you in the spirit when you're walking up to Walmart. I think obviously there's just going to be less foot traffic to retail. There's going to be less of these people. What I challenge, businesses to do, and we've seen it a little bit in these POS systems at like Walmart, for instance, it'll pop up with a little modal when you go to check out, like, hey, you want to donate 47 cents, round out your total to Salvation Army. I mean, doing things like that and embedding it into the customer experience instead of being like, hey, this dirty stranger is begging you for change that you have to dig in your purse for 5 minutes. I don't think that that's really what people want to do, but you can embed it into the customer experience and make it something that isn't obtrusive. I think it can help. And so, I mean, you see we pro it on all the time, like all the growing numbers for e-commerce, embed that into the e-commerce checkout process. I mean, the Salvation Army should be doing e-commerce partnership deals right now. That's what they should be doing. How much can you get somebody to donate in an hour sitting out front of the Walmart? You probably, if you're doing 100 sales a minute on the e-commerce store, I mean, you probably make a lot more money that way.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not so much that people don't want to give. I think the wanting to give is actually growing, especially during what we're going through. I think it's just a matter of how to give. And right now it's all about safety and hygiene and all that. And like I said, those little red buckets that you're throwing your change in just aren't the cleanest. No. I mean, you're handling change, which isn't clean and all that. And I think, I mean, everyone has Apple phones, Android phones, and Apple Watches. I mean, you can use Apple Pay, and I think it's a matter of changing. I think a lot of nonprofits, actually, I mean, outside of just them, but I think a lot of nonprofits are kind of on the verge of not figuring out how to move forward as people get more technologically advanced and whatnot. And so.
Right. We will see. I mean, I think there's a lot of good that companies like Stripe are doing to kind of make it an easy process. So maybe they're the ones that can kind of partner and help out here. Getting into our next story, TikTok ban once again blocked by judge. This time thanks to 3 influencers, Dustin. The judge granted a preliminary injunction against a series of bans by U.S. Commerce Department that were set to go into effect November 12th. And the judge stated that the argument TikTok videos are informational materials which are protected under copyright laws the same way that films and photographs and pieces of artwork and original articles, journalists write, that these short videos on social media are also subject to copyright and are owned by the creators. And so TikTok staying alive by the skin of their teeth again, Dustin. What do you think of this ruling? What kind of precedents does this set? And is social media now a mandatory thing?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, the fact that, the president and Commerce Department are shut down because 3 creators, it's how they make money. I mean, it is pretty interesting, but I mean, I don't think that 3 people making money should set precedence over the national security of everyone. If, that's what's going on. I mean, business is going to evolve. There's going to be things that close. There's going to be things that open up. And, their argument that, well, this is going to hinder my ability to make money. It shouldn't be an argument. Go find something else to do. There's plenty of other platforms to produce content and make money. I mean, that this definitely sets a precedence, which we talk about quite a bit. But I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, this is crazy, right? Like, I think that, leverage your audience. If you got 1 million followers on TikTok, that doesn't mean that they're not going to do anything off of TikTok for you. I mean, I think, we see this all the time, that these creators are leveraging their audiences, creating their own websites, creating their own merchandise. That's how they're making money. They're not making money off of just the video that they create. They may do a brand partnership video, but, and again, three content creators speaking for the world about their WAP video dance. I just don't understand, there's some that is informational. I understand that, but the same way that you can go monetize on YouTube, you can go monetize on 20 different places. I don't think that, a ban on TikTok is infringing on your freedom that much. So I might just be strongly opinionated about this one, Dustin, but I think you got to be a business person. If you're going to be in the limelight, like a content creator that's making money is, you got to figure out better ways to make money than relying solely on TikTok to do so. Yeah,
no, I agree. I mean, when, COVID came out and businesses had to close down, a lot of businesses fought, but, it's at the end of the day, it's still, they had to keep their doors shut. And ultimately they had to try and figure out how to create a new business model, which that's essentially, I mean, that you run the risk whenever you open up your own businesses. Yeah. Things will change and you have to adapt. And, going to cry to a judge about it, I don't think is a way to do it. You just have to figure it out.
It's sketch to see all the data privacy conversations. So now Oracle has a big part of it. Walmart has a big part of it. Obviously they have, reasons for why they want all that data. It's not just to protect us, right? So they can make money. So, it's just one of those things, but I digress. Getting into our next story and our final story, bringing it back to Phoenix. Phoenix ranks as the 6th most financially distressed U.S. city during COVID. This report shows that Phoenix comes behind Las Vegas, Chicago, Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. And they quantify this based off of how many people are looking for high interest loans, how many people are filing for debt consolidation in the city. And so, Dustin, what is the reason that that our numbers are up as high as they are? And how can we, mitigate some of this?
We talked to last episode, I believe it was, or 2 episodes ago, where, home prices are going up fastest in the United States, which ultimately increases the cost of living. And I think this is a direct reflection of that. We have tons of people moving here. The cost of living is going up. And so, people need to consolidate debt, taking out more debt, essentially, which I think that's what the whole premise of this is looking at people's debt consolidation and how much debt they're leveraging. And so knowing that the cost of living is going up, rent's going up, food's going up, I think, people just have to leverage a bit more debt. What I'm hoping, though, is that, as more people move here, supply and demand and natural situations are going to happen to where the, pay raises are going to happen and overall, cost of living as it goes up, people are going to get paid more, which will reverse this trend. But I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, obviously the cost of living is going up, and obviously, like student loan prices, or your student loan isn't just magically going to disappear. It's crazy, right? There's a lot more people moving here, and so I look at the other cities on Arizona that are on this top 100. You've got Chandler, you've got Gilbert. In the 60s, you got Scottsdale in the 90s. I mean, I think that there's a lot to be said. I mean, there's so much that's changing, right? We've got 208 on the ballot. There's so much that's changing with Arizona, specifically in this coming election. And so, it's sad. I think there's unemployment is another reason, Dustin. I think underemployment is another reason. Like people that maybe had a better paying job. We saw a lot of C-level executives and high-level people cut here in Arizona. And maybe you're picking up a job that pays half as much just because you got to bring in some money and you're only getting $200 a week from unemployment. And so, if we get a big pay cut as a family, we got to leverage more debt in order to be able to pay our mortgage and everything else. And so, it's tough to see, but hopefully we're going to continue to rebound a little bit. And the tourism coming back to Arizona, I'm sure is going to help to give us a little more stimulus as a state.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, last episode talking about 108,000 less jobs compared to year over year. I think just current situation is causing this, but I think it'll come roaring back. But I mean, talked about the Arizona Commerce Authority, opening up that education to 5,000 people. So, I mean, to your point, there might be a lot of underemployment happening, but there's also quite a few well-paying jobs that are going unfulfilled. And so excited to see that, the Arizona Commerce Authority is helping take action, educate people, ultimately reversing this trend. So,
yeah. Well, we appreciate you entrepreneurs out there grinding and hiring and helping to grow our economy and staying alive. So, thank you for tuning in today. Again, you've been watching the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. Dustin, my favorite story looking back here, I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite, but TikTok setting the precedence with the copyright and, we can put Vincent Van Gogh's artwork next to, TikTok dance. Like it's crazy to me. I mean, we're in 2020, so, we scoff at this now, but who knows, maybe 50 years from now, the history books are going to have Cardi B in them instead of Christopher Columbus. Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But what about you?
Yeah, no, the most interesting one is the Salvation Army. I mean, lots of people in need during the holiday season. Not so much this particular story, but just I'm interested to see how nonprofits kind of pivot. As we move forward, helped out quite a few profits, from a digital perspective, and a lot that
need some help.
kind of behind the times. And so it's a lot are gonna have to change to catch up. And so hoping that happens.
Hopefully there's some businesses out there that are seeing that problem and making some good solutions for it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, it's not free. I'm sorry. We're not going to take any of your money though. You just got to tell an entrepreneur about us. You got to tell a small business owner about us. We want to keep them woke. We want to keep keeping you guys woke on what's the hot stories going on, what are the hot trends going on. But again, you've been watching Entreprenews. My name is Chaz Vandemeyer.
I'm Dustin Trout.
And we will see you on Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.